So I thought of this idea of two people. So this idea of a fictional book or something, a story or a movie. So it's two people, and they could be any age, but I like to think of them as teenagers. So, or one younger person and one older person, but there's two, and then there's one of them is like this, like fat, like this, just this bad person who's just like mean and just a terrible person. He doesn't have to be fat, or she. And then you have this other character who's just like the best, the top of the top, the best, nicest person you can find, and they end up switching lives. So, and the guy who's nice and the good guy, he has to live in this terrible person's life, and he has to live in his body, and he's not used to that. While the bad person, he lives in the good person's life, and he lives in peace and harmony. And I like to think of the good person's life as being like he's wealthy and like he takes care of himself, and he's like very, very, very smart and everything. But the way the story goes is that the good person switches life with the bad person, and he has to get in the mindset of working back to the top of his level of success, and he has to like exercise and get into the mentality of being at that top level again to rise up to that level, and eventually he does that. So he does that while the other person, the bad person, is in the good person's body, and he's squandering it. He's messing it up. He's messing everything up. And then in my story, he ends up getting homeless and just living like hell, or living bad, and then eventually the good person is still in the bad person's body, but he goes back to his own level, and he started this own life different from what he had before. And he learns that you could be anybody and still make the same amount of success as you had before, or yeah. And then the story goes, this is my story, by the way, but it's not original. I'll tell you why later, but they switch bodies from however you want to picture it, by magic or whatever, however you want to see it. But eventually the good person has the choice of switching bodies again, going back to his old self, and he accepts his new body and doesn't want to leave, so he doesn't. I don't know. And it's the reason I came up with this is because I read the Superior Spider-Man, and basically in it, Spider-Man and his evil villain, Dr. Octopus, they switch bodies, and Dr. Octopus starts this whole company, and he switches body with Spider-Man, and he becomes the superior Spider-Man in his eyes, and he does a lot of powerful things. But eventually they switch back, and Spider-Man rejoins into his body. But that's where I got the idea. It's loosely based on that. It's not exactly the same as the story I came up with, but yeah. I like both stories, the Spider-Man story and my story, but I think they all have their unique qualities.